Welcome back to our Old Testament studies here, chapter 17 of Exodus. We've been traveling away from Egypt through the wilderness with the children of Israel and Moses, and they've watched God and all of His miracles. But first time opposition comes along, they get hungry. They begin to the onomatopoeia word, murmur, 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 murmur. So God blesses them with quail, toast, and gravy. I said He rains quail from heaven in the evenings and gives them bread from heaven on the morning to go out and gather them up. So they're all fine until, we're going to continue to travel on. They're going to run into the next little place of testing, if you would. So verse 1, chapter 17, all the congregation of the children of Israel, they journeyed from the wilderness of sin, which was a noun, but they did the verb there too, sin. And after their journeys, according to the commandment of the Lord, they pitched where God told them to, but He's going to test them. See, they pitched in Rephidim. It's a dry camp. There was no water there. There was no water for the people to drink. Wherefore, what's the people going to do? See, God's going to see that, and He's going to show them, what their heart is again. They get in trouble, and what they do? They're going to chide with Moses, or contest with Moses, or get mad at Moses, and Moses is going to, have to intercede and pull his hair out and all this stuff. So the people did chide with Moses and said, "Give us water that we may drink." And Moses said unto them, "Why chide ye with me? Wherefore do ye tempt the Lord?" And the people thirsted there for water. And you know what they're going to do? The people murmured. They complained. They murmured against Moses. And they said, "Where is this that thou hast brought us out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst?" You just brought us out here to kill us by thirst, which is the worst way to die. And so Moses cried. You could just stop there. Moses cried. But it says, Moses cried to the Lord, saying, "What shall I do to this people? They almost be ready to stone me, Lord." And the Lord said to Moses, "Go on before the people and take with thee of the elders of Israel and your rod." Now, that rod's got an interesting journey through the Bible, don't it? Moses just had a shepherd's stick. And when he first met God, God says, "What is that in your hand?" And Moses says, "A rod, a stick." Because Moses is complaining that he couldn't do nothing. He was just an old man. He was just a shepherd, and all he had was a stick. And God showed him that He was going to do miracles through that stick. I guess maybe the moral of that story is, whatever you've got, no matter how pathetic it may be, if you'll use it for God, God can do miracles with it. So He said, God told Moses, "You take that rod wherewith thou smote the river, and take in your hand and go. Behold, I'll stand before thee there upon the rock in Horeb, and you shall smite the rock with that stick, and there will come water out of it, that the people may drink." And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. Now, boy, there's a New Testament sermon in here. The New Testament tells us that rock that we keep meeting in this wilderness journey, the New Testament story says that rock that followed them through that story, that was Christ. He was a type of Christ. And here we're going to find out that the people are going to die. They're going to thirst to death. But Moses smites the rock, and from that they were satisfied. And Jesus takes that and plays upon it several times in the Gospels there, that He was that rock. And He was smitten, killed one time, that if you go to Jesus, you'll be satisfied. And irony is, sometimes you've tried everything else in the world trying to cure that longing that you've got. All these and the rock is usually the last place a person will look for water. But the rock's Christ, and that's the place that you'll find the satisfaction out. And Jesus says, "Whoever believes in me, out of his belly will flow rivers of living water," that you'll be an influence to other people too. And whosoever's thirsty to come to Him and drink. And you're not thirsty anymore because you get the water of life freely from Him. And so Moses did so on the side of the elders of Israel. Now, verse 7, he called the name of the place Massah and Maraba, which means, I think, contended and testing, contention and testing, because that's what took place there. Oftentimes you'll find these Hebrew words where they name something, They named it there because something happened there. That's where the place of contention and testing was. Because of the chiding of the children of Israel and because they tempted the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" That was unbelief after all the miracles, wasn't it? New story, but it's following in their journey now. Verse 8. Then came Amalek. Now, from what I've read about Amalek, and I don't know how they know this. I only know it because I read it in books with people that's supposed to know. But they said Amalek was a people that they had a method of fighting is that they would follow along a group of people through the wilderness, and they would prey on the ones that was the weakest and struggling behind. So now Israel is meeting them, and they're going to confront them and have war with them. So then came Amalek, and they fought with Israel in a place called Rephidim. And now we meet a fellow by the name of Joshua, who we're going to have a lot to do with in the next few books of the Bible, ain't we? Even got a book named after him. So Moses said to Joshua, he's going to be the military leader. Later he'll become the successor to Moses, but he's called General Joshua out and says, "Choose us out men and go out and fight with Amalek tomorrow." And Moses says, "You go out and lead the people and fight." And he says, "I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand." He's got that stick again, the staff, don't he? So Joshua did as Moses said to him, and now the battle's going on down in the valley. He fought with Amalek. And now there's a couple other people up there with Moses on the hilltop. Aaron and Hur. Moses' brother Aaron and a character we meet by the name of Hur here, H-U-R. So Moses, Aaron, and Hur, they went up to the top of the hill. And it came to pass, now you got to figure this out. Now the people are down there in the hot sun fighting a bloody war. But you got the spiritual leaders that are up here on top of the hill looking down on them down there. And it came to pass when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed. But when he let down his hand, he had that staff in it. See, when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. So they're doing the spiritual part up there. It's like we have to do both usually for us, or maybe you get somebody to pray for you, but you got to pray for yourself too. You got to do the work, the hard, bloody stuff to get through life. But the spiritual part shouldn't be neglected either, because when they wasn't able to reach up and touch heaven, when the spiritual part let down, it affected the physical part that was going on down here. So Moses' hands were heavy though. Try to sit there and hold that stick up and for hours on end while the battle's going on. Moses' hands were heavy. And they took him a stone, made him a seat out of it, and he put it under him. And he sat thereon. And then Aaron and Hur, his buddies, they got on each side and held up his hands, one on the one side, one on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. Sometimes we need our spiritual friends to help us in a spiritual battle, don't we? And Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. They won. They beat them in warfare. But the people down in the valley might not have realized there's something going on behind the scenes. They're just down there fighting their hearts out. People dying all around them and everything. But the Bible shows us, hey, there's something going on behind the scenes too. And that's something to remember as you go through life. There's more than meets the eye going on. The spiritual part's the hardest part, but they were up there and it affected the outcome of the physical part. So Joshua takes the army and they win, thanks to Aaron, Hur, and Moses. And the Lord said to Moses, verse 14, "Write this for a memorial in a book." We're reading out of it today. "Write this, Moses, for a memorial in the book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. I don't want them to forget it, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven." I don't know any Amalekites, do you? So apparently that took place. And Moses built an altar, which was a monument there to mark what God had done. And he called it Jehovah Nissi, which means literally, I had it marked right here somewhere. The Lord is my banner. It means the Lord is my banner, Jehovah Nissi. He named it something. And when they set up them stones and sometimes anoint them with oil, that was a marker, a memorial to remind them what God had done for them there. You've surely got places in your life you can look back over your life and set up a banner in your mind that here's something, boy, I might not have seen it at the time, but now I realize that I need to, that's a memorial in my mind that God really got me through that. So Moses built that altar and called it Jehovah Nissi, for he said, because the Lord hath sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. All right, we'll pick up there next week. Thanks for joining us.